Back now to our top story. Federal police have been called in to find the source of newspaper leaks detailing confidential bids to run the government's international television service. Tonight, the Communications Minister abruptly killed off the tender process for the Australian network contract. The ABC currently hosts the multi-million-dollar service and was competing with Sky News to retain it. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports from Canberra.
This is Foreign Correspondent.
Thursday on Australia Network.
Australia's international voice has suddenly taken on a parochial political twang.
Well, this is just another chapter of incompetence in a long and sorry tale of bungling.
The Australia Network's supposed to showcase Australian democratic values to TV viewers in the Asia-Pacific.
Enjoy the best in Australia.
But it's the tender process for the $223 million 10-year contract to run the service that's given an insight into the political process in Canberra. After being delayed for 6 months, the tender's now been scrapped. The Communications Minister says, due to significant leaks of confidential information to the media, the Australian Network tender process has been compromised to such a degree that a fair and equitable outcome may no longer be able to be achieved. Federal police are investigating the source of leaks to newspapers which suggested a panel with Kevin Rudd's backing had recommended taking the contract from the ABC and giving it to Rupert Murdoch's Sky News.
Oh, there's a lot of conspiracy theories floating around this building tonight, and I'm sure you've heard many of them.
But what there needs to be, and what we are calling for tonight, is a full investigation by the Auditor-General. This whole sorry process is too important to be just pushed aside while Labor goes off to start again.
The ABC's ownership of the contract's been extended for an extra 6 months while the government calls for new bids. Sky News offered no comment when contacted, but the ABC's managing director welcomed the announcement. The corporation appreciates the opportunity to discuss with the government the future role international broadcasting can play across the region.
This should never have been put out to tender in the first place. That the idea that a commercial entity could represent Australia's interests and culture in the region better than our ABC, our national broadcaster, was really misguided from the beginning.
The decision comes amid a background of animosity between News Limited, which published some of the leaks, and the government. A spokesman from News Limited told the ABC, "It will be interesting under Freedom of Information to find out exactly what has transpired, in particular whether the leaks reportedly awarding the contract to Sky are correct or not." News Limited also accuses the government of political tampering in the tender process. The government says there has been political tampering in the process. It says it deliberately gave Stephen Conroy the final word on the tender because it was too important a decision to be left to the normal bureaucratic process. Also of national importance, says the Treasurer, is the government's promise to return to surplus next financial year, even as another economic forecast today lowered expectations of growth.
Today and in recent months you've been using phrases like determined to be in surplus and softer words, if you like.
No, I'm sorry, I do reject that.
But the Treasurer repeated the line.
But we are determined to come back to surplus in 2012-13.
And the opposition leader repeated his.
Obviously, if the government does deliver the fiscal responsibility that Australia needs, we'll applaud. But on the record so far, they will talk about surpluses but never deliver them.
The opposition's also announced that though it doesn't support the mining tax, it won't meddle with the bump in superannuation they help pay for.
We don't initiate these superannuation changes, but once they're in place, we don't roll them back. Over the forward estimates, there is a $740 million cost to the government, and we will find that expense from savings in the budget.
Every day we see their $70 billion budget crater get bigger and their economic credibility shrink.
The democratic process on full display. Tom Eagleton, Lateline.